The coroner's report found the child was actually alive, and Purcell was charged with murder but found not guilty by reason of insanity.
बॉडी एनालिसिस एंड बॉडी लैंग्वेज एक्सपर्ट्स ने उसकी बॉडी लैंग्वेज स्टडी करी थी while she was in the lift and उनके हिसाब से she was not in fear.
So probably it was the energy that latched onto hers, took advantage of her bipolar nature, तो attachment बहुत आसान हो गया, and not only possessed her or attached to her but also attached to the people who were there around her.
Welcome back everyone to another episode of the Ghost Encounters Unfiltered podcast. As of now, मैं भूल चुका हूँ actually हम लोग कौन से serial number पे हम लोग of recording this podcast. But thank you so much for the immense amount of love and support जो आप लोग दे रहे हो for the podcast. It means a lot to us, and the plan शुरुआत से वही था कि we cater to an audience which is, even though it's niche, but we cater in the right way. And in a way जो कि बाकी पैरानॉर्मल पॉडकास्ट नहीं कर रहे हो. सो वी स्टक टू द फॉर्मेट, एंड जितने भी हम लोगों ने अभी कर लिया एपिसोड, इट हैज़ बीन एन अमेजिंग जर्नी एज ऑफ नाउ. आई एम श्योर देयर इज अ लॉन्ग वे टू गो, बट जो भी है, इट फील्स रियली ग्रेट टू सी. थैंक यू सो मच फॉर द लव यू शोड टू द लास्ट पॉडकास्ट एज वेल. It was an Indian case, and this just kind of showed that we should be bringing more Indian case. So लुकआउट पे हैं हम लोग. जैसे जो भी केसेस मिलते रहेंगे हम लोग लाते रहेंगे, करते रहेंगे, सब कुछ होता रहेगा. बट द गुड थिंग इज एंड द बेस्ट थिंग इज वी हैव गॉट Savio back in the studio. Savio bhaiya, how are you feeling right now?
Better than last week. Yeah, but still 50% more to go.
Yeah, but irrespective, however he's feeling, he's back here, and we have an amazing case to dissect for this podcast as well. ये काफ़ी ट्रेंडिंग में रह चुका है. जब हुआ था बैक इन 2013, तब भी बहुत सारे इश्यूज एज इन काफ़ी हल्ला मचाया था ये टॉपिक. एंड आफ्टर अ डॉक्यूमेंट्री दैट वाज मेड ऑन इट एंड दैट एयर्ड ऑन नेटफ्लिक्स क्वाइट रिसेंटली, एज इन इतना रिसेंट भी नहीं बट आया, तब भी बहुत हल्ला मचा हुआ था. एंड अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल हैव आस्क्ड टू डाइसेक्ट दिस पर्टिकुलर केस. बट बिफोर वी स्टार्ट द डाइसेक्शन, हाई, माय नेम इज Sarbajit.
This is Pooja.
And Savio.
And we are the members of the Ghost Encounters team, जिनको आप देख रहे हो in our other videos, reaction videos, investigation videos, and the 2 Minute Thursdays and the live streams. We are a team of paranormal investigators, researchers, exorcists, psychics, healers who are researching on the phenomena of paranormal and parapsychology. And this is a podcast where we dissect famous and infamous cases, Indian बाहर के जो भी cases हैं, which are popular, not so popular, लेकिन अगर हमारे सामने आता है एंड वी सी देयर लॉट ऑफ एलिमेंट्स, लॉट ऑफ एंगल्स टू इट, वी मेक श्योर कि वो हम आपके सामने प्रेजेंट करें. एंड दिस इज द घोस्ट एनकाउंटर्स अनफिल्टर्ड पॉडकास्ट. सो लेट्स स्टार्ट विद द टॉपिक. एज ऑफ नाउ जो ये टॉपिक है, दिस टॉपिक आई हैव बिन फॉलोइंग क्वाइट क्लोजली, दो वी नो कि उसका एंड क्या हुआ था, बट द एलिमेंट्स इन इट are quite dramatic and something that should be dissected, should be discussed, and should be brought to the people. So we are talking about the case of Elisa Lam, the girl who was mysteriously found dead in the Cecil Hotel in the US, and this is her case. This is the Cecil Hotel that we'll be dissecting in the podcast tonight. So yeah, I know आप लोगों को वो नरेशन अच्छा लगा था, but I can't be doing narration in every podcast. That was a subtle hint of what is about to come. But अगर आपको इतना ही अच्छा लगा, what I'll try to do is maybe कभी कभार एक दो case I'll stick to narration. But as of now, this is again economical way of talking about the case and mentioning the case. And here goes everything about Elisa Lam. In 2013, the last known footage of Elisa Lam came from a grainy elevator security camera footage from the Cecil Hotel. The 21-year-old appears frantic and paranoid in the 4 minutes of footage, pressing multiple buttons, speaking nervously out of the doors, and hiding against the wall of the unmoving elevator from what appears to be an unseen person. The footage has since become infamous, going viral that very time after the police first released it to the public, that is in February of 2013, asking for tips in the case of Lam's disappearance. Scores of internet sleuths jumped onto the case of the missing young woman, and theories of paranormal activity, a threatening off camera figure, and video manipulation quickly began to spread online. It didn't help that the Canadian tourist who was last seen on January 31st, 2013, during the Los Angeles leg of our West Coast trip, happened to be staying in the notorious Cecil Hotel, a Skid Row landmark famously shrouded in darkness and crime. The first season of Joe Bellinger's new Netflix series, Crime Scene: The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel, works to demythologize the Cecil, and in doing so, logically works through and demystifying the heartbreaking case of Elisa Lam, but still ignoring the very fact of an angle of what could be a case of a paranormal entity or something similar. That was never mentioned in the documentary. But still, the main thing that is in question in this case is the infamous hotel, the Cecil Hotel, that is located in downtown LA, has a reputation for death, murder, and crime. More than a dozen murders and suicides have taken place in and around the Cecil Hotel since its 1927 opening. Elizabeth Short, the Black Dahlia, was said to have been seen at the Cecil days before her murder, and the hotel served as a temporary residence to serial murderers Richard Ramirez, who is also known as the Night Stalker, and Jack Underweger at times. Now, the crime scene largely dispels its reputation as cursed by digging into the problematic socio-economic history of the area and how the hotel, when it was launched in 1927, aimed at becoming this lavishing place for the posh, audience. But later, because of the depression that happened in the economy, it saw a lot of bad business, and as a result they had to decrease the prices of the rooms, and it attracted a lot of clients which were not very friendly in the social eyes, very honestly. In 1927, a man called Percy Osmond Cook shot himself and died the same evening. A few years later, 3 other men died by suicide, one with pills, one with a gun, and one with a razor. While in 1937, a woman named Grace E. Magro fell from a 9th floor window. And when she was falling, she fell on another man, killing that man as well. So she died, that man died as well. Several ex-military men resided at the hotel and also took their own lives. And in 1944, a 19-year-old lady, Dorothy Jane Purcell, gave birth to a baby on her bathroom floor. Thinking it was stillborn, she threw it out of the window rather than telling the man she was staying with. The coroner's report found the child was actually alive, and Purcell was charged with murder but found not guilty by reason of insanity. In one of the most tragic cases in 1964, a hotel worker called Pigeon Goldie Osgood was found dead in her room. She had been raped, beaten, and stabbed. The killer has never been found as of 2023. Apart from that, it was also claimed and proved by many that Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, who was a killer who used to worship the Satan before his killings, was an active resident, an active guest at the hotel, and was worshipping Satan before going for the killings. Also, for that matter, some people claim that he had killed few of the hotel people or other guests in that same hotel. That's how popular the hotel is. But Lam hadn't booked a stay at the Cecil. The Vancouver student, who had long been planning a solo trip up the coast of California, opted to stay at the Stay on Main, a downtown budget hostel, for the Los Angeles leg of her trip. The Cecil had converted half of its floor to the Stay on Main at the time of Lam's trip in an attempt to market itself to travelers while simultaneously maintaining its long-term residents on separate floors. While the two properties had different lobbies and entrances, the Cecil Hotel and the Stay on Main Hotel had shared elevators, which is among other reasons why the elevator video of Lam on the last day she is seen alive was so frightening to so many people online. Lam was reported missing soon after she failed to check out of her room on February 1st, 2013. The hotel had moved Lam from a shared room to a private one as she had been disturbing her fellow guests by writing notes and all kind of messages and sticking them to their beds basically. Most of the notes were her writing, "Get out of the hotel, get out of the room." At one point, she was also blamed by the guest who was staying with her that she was not opening the door of the room when they were knocking and they wanted to get in. She had been escorted out of a television tapping earlier that week because of disruptive behavior, and the hotel's manager at the time, Amy Price, describes an outburst that Lam had in the hotel lobby as well. When it was discovered that all of Lam's belongings, including her ID, medication, and luggage, were left behind in her hotel room, search parties of police and dogs combed the streets downtown and the halls of hotel. But they discovered nothing, and so with no leads, they chose to release the 4 minutes of jarring elevator footage of Lam to the public on February 14th, causing a frenzy online and in the media. On February 19th, 2013, 20 days after Lam was last seen, a hotel staffer was sent up to the roof of the hotel to check on the water tanks after several guests complained about how low the pressure was and murky the water looked coming out of the taps. It was then when Lam's body was discovered floating naked in one of the 4 large tanks that provided the hotel's water supply. It was later concluded that the coroner's office basically declared this death as an accidental death or a cause or a death by self-harming. But as the internet goes, as the internet sleuths go, they think that there was some involvement of an entity or some kind of demonic force was in play, considering the history of the hotel, considering what has happened in the hotel by many other people, that something out of this world, something preternatural was in action and was the reason of her disappearance and murder. So this is the curious case of Elisa Lam, a Canadian student who only wanted to have a trip or complete her solo trip to the LA, found herself killed in one of the most badly reputed hotels in the world for that matter.
यहाँ पर 3 एंगल्स दिख रहे हैं. इट कुड बी सेल्फ हार्म, जो कि आई थिंक दैट वाज द फाइनल डिसीजन जो कि दिया गया था.
एंड उसमें भी पता है कैसा था, इन डॉक्यूमेंट्री दैट आई वॉच्ड, उसमें इन द फाइनल रिपोर्ट ऑल्सो वाई अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल एंड दे हैव द राइट टू क्वेश्चन दिस पर्टिकुलर थिंग. इन द रिपोर्ट यू विल सी द पोस्टमार्टम report that was released by the coroner's office. They had once marked as inconclusive the death, but later on in the same time only, same date, they have as a cross karke they have ticked accidental death. So it's like people say, and which can also happen, people say कि someone from the head office like kind of force them कि नहीं change कर करके. We do not want that attention right now, most probably.
And the second thing was is murder. So what you are saying, you know, it could be fitting that. And third is of course a paranormal presence, an entity. So 3 parts दिख रहे हैं मुझे यहाँ पे of what could have ideally happened.
Apart from the Elisa Lam thing, what's interesting and more interesting is the hotel. I think it lies abandoned as in no one stays after. Of course, the reputation was badly hit after the documentary came out, and whatever they were trying to do to save its reputation, it went into drainage completely.
No, but right now it is a cheap option for accommodation.
It is.
It has been
Still
lent
open?
out.
Yeah, it's open.
It opened in 2021.
COVID
in
के
2020,
बाद ना?
yeah, in 2013, once this happened, they stopped it and they gave it for renovation. But during COVID, again, the thing was stopped. Then it started again. And in 2001 or 2022, they have not. It's no longer a hotel anymore. It's a cheap apartment, rental accommodation for daily, and that too. It was written monthly. That monthly is cancelled and daily is given, and weekly accommodation.
So either the owner is a shithead, or he's a big fan of the paranormal. Why? Because he's still allowing people to investigate the property while there are people staying in the different rooms. Yeah.
Yes.
Because I think as of now, I know there are 2 group of people who have investigated. One is Zach Bagans' Ghost Adventures, and जब वो लोग investigate कर रहे थे, the entire होटल कोई भी नहीं रह रहा था, एंड दिस इज लाइक लास्ट ईयर की बात है जब दे इट केम ऑन.
तो शायद जब रेनोवेशन हो रहा होगा तभी गए होंगे वो लोग. वो बीच में बंद हुआ था ना.
बट रेनोवेशन तो 2013 में हुआ था ना.
नहीं, उसके बाद भी हुआ.
उसके बाद या
जस्ट अराउंड
कोविड में उनके कोविड के बाद दे started the renovation again and got it over by 2021 or 22 something. Now as of now it is open.
Yeah.
So I think ये दोनों तभी गए थे because if I will just quickly check the other team that went with they also went 1 year ago only. नहीं 2 years ago दिखा रहा है.
So around
2
same
years
time,
ago.
no?
Same time. I think that was the only time and probably the last time I think they allowed someone to investigate. Zach Bagans' team was the first one to investigate in the entire.
इसको लेकिन अंदर से देखा है सेसिल को. सो जब मैं पढ़ रही थी लाइक यू नो जब बहुत इसका हल्ला हुआ था, आई हैड सीन इट फ्रॉम द आउटसाइड.
A few lobby photographs, yeah.
हाँ, आई हैड सीन इट फ्रॉम द आउटसाइड बट आई वाज वेरी इंट्रीग्ड कि ये अंदर से कैसा दिखता है, बिकॉज आई वाज जस्ट वांटिंग टू सी अंदर की एनर्जी. सो देयर वाज दिस ग्रुप समवन, आई डोंट नो द नेम, दे इन्वेस्टिगेटेड. तो मैंने आई वांटेड टू सी कि कहीं मुझे इसकी अंदर की पिक्स चाहिए. सो आई सॉ when they were investigating, तो उनका whatever you know the footages and all that they had captured, and the energy is dark.
It has to be.
It has to
The
be.
energy is dark, and you know मुझे क्या word आ रहा था when I was seeing that? I got the word that illusion. That this place is probably creating illusions, and इतनी ज़्यादा dense and dark energy है. अब and illusion से मुझे immediately strike हुआ when you read that there was this lady who gave birth in the bathroom, and उसको लगा कि उसका बच्चा stillborn है, and she threw the baby out.
It might be paranoia. She might be paranoid or something like that.
Probably
कुछ तो
हो सकता है, but I don't know.
You are saying कि it could be that she was in the illusion.
Yeah. That there was an illusion that was, or you know, yeah, she was under that whatever, but उसको लगा that उसका बच्चा stillborn है. She threw the child out because that was the first word that I received.
Any hotel lobby is very creepy anyways.
Yeah.
I always feel that if there is an alley and there are hotel rooms on both the sides,
Yeah.
I feel a certain amount of disturbance like walking through that. It's always been like, even when we go for our gets also, like when I walk through that, ऐसा लगता है कि कोई ना कोई तो दरवाजा भी खुले.
Same feeling is no matter what kind of hotel you are staying in, from 3-star to 5-star to no stars,
no matter how well lit it is.
But good thing you mentioned about illusion, because in the next tour that we are doing at Mahabaleshwar for the Ghost Encounters tours, we are actually investigating a place that is supposed to create illusion for people who are driving through it.
Oh yes.
One of the person who helped us find that location says that वो जब घर लौट रहा था, he circled the same place at least 6 times before he was like, fuck, I think this is my last day. I need to call my wife and say that this is my last day and I won't be able to reach. He said कि पूरा मतलब वो बताया था, he showed there was some marking and वो like वो 6 बार वो मैंने marking देखा है. And if you see, the road is very simple. We went there to do the Reiki, where we'll be taking the people, of course, to see that very thing from their own eyes. The path is quite creepy because there are two there are jungles.
दोनों तरफ valley है.
नहीं, जंगल है, जंगल खत्म होता है and it's valleys.
And it's valley.
So ऐसा भी नहीं कि पैरेलल रोड जा रहा है कहीं से कि कोई कंफ्यूज हो गया, कोई दूसरा पहाड़ से कोई नहीं. इट्स वन रोड एंड इट्स लाइक दिस रोड भी कैसा है, इट्स लाइक फॉर ओनली वन वे. अगर दूसरा गाड़ी आता है आपको बाजू में करके खड़ा होना पड़ेगा. यू कैन नॉट बी लाइक अच्छा मैं पैरेलली क्रॉस कर लूं.
अच्छा,
इट्स देयर इज ओनली स्पेस फॉर ओनली वन कार दैट वे. क्योंकि जब आई रिमेंबर हम लोग जब जा रहे थे वो लोकल बसेस HT बसेस आए एंड हम लोग पूरा झाड़ियों में जाके वी हैड टू वेट बिफोर इट क्रॉस, देन वी वेंट आगे देखने के लिए.
बट इट्स इवन साउंड सो क्रीपी कि वो सेम मार्ग बंदा बोल रहा है कि मैं आगे जा रहा हूँ, मुझे वही दिख रहा है, फिर मैं जा रहा हूँ, फिर इट्स लाइक ही वाज इन अ टाइम लूप और समथिंग.
आई आस्क्ड कि भाई तू पिया नहीं था ना पक्का? बोले कि अरे पूजा था मेरे घर पे, मैं कैसे पी गया था. दैट्स व्हाट ही सेड.
Modernist will say this is a glitch in the matrix.
Yeah,
कि वापस
absolutely.
से वही देख रहे हैं.
Glitch in the matrix.
But you know, they just brings to this illusion part कि I really want to understand, and if you both of you have anything, because I have not thought about it. How do you think the illusions are being created actually? Like Is it like they create because see what हम लोग का कैसा होता है, we are seeing something and we conclude कि अच्छा हम लोग वो देख रहे हैं, but let's say we are in a state of a panic, trauma, fear and everything, we start seeing things which are actually not there. So do you think the entities trigger that fear, or do they create this image and they put it in your mind?
See, I'll tell you what. पहली बात तो about Cecil Hotel. If you go to see something about the Cecil Hotel is that first of all, San Andreas का fault line पे बना हुआ है.
Yeah.
Right on top over there. तो tectonic plates का Pacific and US, the American tectonic plate का cusp पे है वो. So there will be some seismic activity happening down. Slight, not major, like that can be measured. But बहुत slight होता रहेगा. So there is chances of disturbances or the illusions, as you're saying, created over there. Secondly, जब इन्होंने बनाया वो कौन से लैंड पे बनाया? Was there a graveyard over there, or was it what type of a land? Was it used for any occult practices before that? We don't know anything. 700 rooms का होटल बनाना वो टाइम पे, 700 rooms, can you imagine that? I mean, उतना वो ज़माने में millions of dollars डाल के इन्होंने 3 पार्टनर्स ने उन्हें बना दिया. तो कौन सा wealth was ill gotten or what was it legitimate, we don't know. तो वो hotel was cursed, not cursed, what materials they used, from where they sourced it out, we don't know. Now when you talk about the illusion part of it, right, too much of symmetry causes illusion. अगर आप पैटर्न अगर बनाते बैठोगे many stars, multiple stars and all, and when you look at it, you tend to get disoriented. So होटल के लॉबी जैसे मैं बोलता हूँ ना कि there are so many flights of stairs, and then after there are so many doors going in a certain direction, the same amount of carpet put over here, the same frames to create that symmetry. When you see from one side and you peek to the other side, all you can see is completely like doors and all. You will not know which door is yours unless it is the first or the second one. But going through that entire lobby, it becomes very difficult to see how. And 700 का मतलब है काफ़ी है ये. Each floor will be having a lot of rooms on it. So that is exactly what creates an illusion. And again, as I said,
that is the human perspective of it.
Yeah, and an energy part of it, you don't know which door is going to open where. So if at all there is a paranoid person who's already going there, like a claustrophobic person gets jitters in the lift, in an elevator, right? In the same way, a paranoid person, a schizophrenic person, or as we know, Elisa Lam was already diagnosed by complete, what is that called?
Bipolar.
She was an extreme case of bipolar.
Extreme case of bipolar.
Bipolar. So उसको वो होटल लॉबी क्रॉस करके अपने रूम तक जाना, उसको ये पता नहीं था कि कौन कहाँ से बीच में खींचे. Knowing the reputation of the hotel.
Nee, that is fine, and we'll come to that. What I'm asking is, for example, I'm just trying to find an answer. For example, this particular lady 19-year-old girl who threw her baby because she thought it was dead, So considering the hotel already has a reputation of illusions and what you are talking about, the lobbies and all, but I want to understand and this is from a point of, I want to know basically, because I have no answers to this. How are the entities create this illusion? Can create an illusion is my question, because even when we were investigating the Goa dumping ground, usme bhi one of the claims was the entities were creating illusion. Is what our source told, if you remember, the dumping ground.
Dumping ground या the other
dumping
ground में था. Dumping ground and Abbott में भी तो illusions create हो रहे थे.
Abbott में भी illusion था, dumping ground था, then अभी महाबलेश्वर का है. Plus this है, I'm trying to understand how can an energy, of course we know कहाँ तक उनका limitation, we don't know कहाँ तक उनका limitation है, but I'm just trying to find a thesis कि कैसे वो लोग illusion create कर रहे हैं.
See, हम लोगों ने हमारे पहले वाले investigations में भी देखा है that the electromagnetic field can create hallucinations as well as illusions. अब electromagnetic field तो ठीक है, यहाँ पर अगर ये fault line में ही पे है किसी टाइप का, that means there is a geomagnetic energy which can be really strong that is messing up with the magnetic field of that place. हम लोगों ने देखा है मैग्नेटिक हिल्स में क्या हालत होती है, पूरी व्हीकल की बैंड बजती है. सो इफ दिस होटल इज बिल्ड ऑन अ फॉल्ट लाइन और हाई जियोमैग्नेटिक एनर्जी वाला हॉटस्पॉट, इट इज़ गोइंग टू क्रिएट हैल्यूसिनेशंस, इट इज़ गोइंग टू क्रिएट इल्यूजन्स. ठीक है, अब इल्यूजन कैसे भी हो सकता है. द पर्सन कैन सी एंटिटीज, द पर्सन कैन इट कैन, जैसे ये लड़की का केस हुआ था, शी कुड हैव गॉट एन इल्यूजन दैट the child is not breathing or whatever, like, you know, कि still birth है, and something just played with her mind and उसने फेंक दिया बच्चे को.
I'll add on to that. See, illusions created like how mentalism में हम और subliminal messaging में कोई product बेचते हैं. Like one person, suppose if my hotel is at the end of a street, right, 2 blocks away, तो right from the start I will start advertising there. वो कलर्स जो भी है स्कीम मैं वहाँ पर जैसा स्पॉन्सर करके वहाँ पर लैम्प पोस्ट पे या एक छोटा सा स्टिकर लेके या एक आदमी को खड़ा करके वहाँ पर वो क्रिएट करूँगा इल्यूजन एज एन अ पर्सन इज ऑलवेज सेइंग दैट यू नो व्हाट एंड देयर बी कन्वर्सेशंस दैट आर गोइंग ऑन अराउंड कि दैट होटल इज गुड, दैट होटल इज गुड, आई एम फीलिंग हंग्री. देन यू विल सी अ साइन बोर्ड्स that over there, it's over here, just close to you, right, place to satisfy hunger, whatever कि इतना discount है आज, इतना ये है आज, happy hour चल रहा है, whatever. So I will create an illusion right from the start. First of all, I will create a want or a need till that person can actually come to my store, hotel or whatever it is. एक बार वहाँ पर आने के बाद उसका पहली बात तो साइकी पे मैंने ऑलरेडी काम कर चुका हूँ by that elemental functioning, subliminal messaging. एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दैट व्हाट हैपन्स इज एवरी कॉन्वर्सेशन अगर मैं 3-4 जन को भी खड़ा करके अगर मैं उसके माइंड पे अगर ये क्रिएट करूँ कि तुमको भूख लगी है, ये भूख लगती है, और मेरे होटल के बाहर अगर वहाँ पर भीड़ खड़ी है कि वाह 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 बोल के बहुत अच्छा ये है, ही विल से व्हाई नॉट जस्ट ट्राई इट एंड कम एंड से दैट. नाउ दीज थिंग्स आर ऑल्सो नेचुरली formed also because humans are learning from nature. Okay, how the carnivorous plants actually lure the insect inside, right? Suddenly insect सब जगह पे छोड़ के वहाँ पर नहीं आ रहा है. It is created by some illusion that it has कि यहाँ पर ही मुझे वो मिलेगा जो वहाँ पर मुझे आजू बाजू में नहीं मिल रहा है. And there are some flowers that actually emanate a very rotten smell and yet the insect gets into that. Right, so these things can be created elementally. First of all, like जैसे इनके केस में हुआ कि ये बच्चों को उठा के बाहर फेंकी, ऐसा हो सकता है कि उसका पार्टनर जो था, उसके घर वाले जो थे और सब लोग बोल रहे थे कि why are you keeping this child is going to cause a lot of problems, right, you better abort it or this is going to create a lot of hurdles in your career. ऐसा बहुत कुछ उसके मन में already ये हुआ रहेगा कि I am not going to pay for anything that is going to happen after this, or I'm not responsible, it's your baby to take care of or whatever like that. And we don't know what conversations actually took place in the hotel with her partner at that point of time. So, and probably, I don't know, it might be her first birth, she wasn't experienced.
She was 19, yeah.
She was 19.
And no, the partner didn't know only.
The partner didn't know, but even she also might have not given birth to any other child before that. So she didn't know the entire process of giving birth and what a baby actually looks like when it is out. Because when the baby passed through a natural childbirth is very bloody. It doesn't make a sound right at the start. The doctors have to pick it up and slap it on its butt so that the system changes from breathing through water to breathing air. Right? Probably she didn't know that. She was just created that entire thing that, oh my God, now what? Oh my God, now what? Now I'm responsible. Now what to do? She just plucked out that umbilical cord and she just flung it out. Just get rid of that entire responsibility. Now I am not responsible. So illusions were created like that for that person. But then afterwards, even for Elisa Lam also, it would be the same thing.
No, I understood that. This is fine. This is a very scientific up. My question from the very start has been how is an entity
creating
an
illusions?
By creating density using the elements.
That is my question. Even for that matter, kahin bhi hum jaye, from the very beginning, how is an entity, what it is doing to our mind, to our system, to our senses, that हम लोग को illusion दिख रहा है वहाँ पे, and it can happen to anyone for that matter. Even investigators have gone कि अरे नहीं ये तो हमने investigate कर लिया है शायद. For that matter, there is this case जो I investigated this witch वाला part जहाँ पे the पत्थर्स were falling and all. वहाँ पे भी जब हम लोग इन्वेस्टिगेट कर रहे थे फॉर मोमेंट आई वाज लाइक कि नहीं ये एरिया तो हमने इन्वेस्टिगेट कर लिया है कब से, बट द क्रू वाज लाइक कि सरपंच यू हैवंट स्टेप्ड an inch in that area अभी तक. मैंने कहा अच्छा वैसा है क्या?
So you investigated it in your head?
Yeah, I'm like वो जगह मैंने देख लिया है and like I think it's done because that is where most of the activities were concentrated. So I'm trying to say okay, here it could be my own mind that you know I took an overstep in ये कि मैंने over calculate कर लिया कि अच्छा वो हो गया है, so I didn't know कि वहाँ पे क्या होगा. It happens to people.
ऐसे बच्चे सोचते हैं कि हमने पढ़ाई किया है, ये लेसन कवर हुआ है.
Yeah, but I'm asking कि and of course not necessarily I'm looking for an answer, but it's a question to think upon how an entity, what are the changes it is doing to the environment that the human mind is getting fucked up and seeing illusions.
And
from a spirit point of view, not the natural one. Natural तो ठीक है, समझिए.
Not just the environment, but even the internal environment is what's possible, because
मेरा भी वही था आसपास.
Because अगर वो आपको if it can tap into your emotions, because
it's like triggering a guilt.
if it can tap into your emotions and find that what is that, that low emotion that's lying in you, if there's a guilt or if there is a fear, and अगर वो उसको tap करके and उससे आपको manipulate कर सकता है, then it can even tap into the brain activity.
Like temporary possessions होते हैं ना, तो temporary attachment भी हो सकते हैं. They will just temporarily attach onto you. जैसे कि अब मच्छर डायरेक्टली आके कभी काटता नहीं है, if you notice. Okay, उनका एक तरीका होता है. The mosquito will first, just brush past your skin and make your skin or make your reflexes very comfortable to its presence around you. बीच में आवाज़ करेगा या तो बीच में सिर्फ ऐसा करेगा, बीच में बैठ के चला जाएगा, काटेगा नहीं. कम से कम 10-12 बार उसने ऐसा कर दिया and you are like completely relaxed and you are getting used to the new feeling that okay fine, कोई तो आ रहा है, नज़दीक में जा रहा है. At your most vulnerable point, completely ignorant point, वो तभी आके काटेगा. So this can happen when the entities that are there were prevalent from such a long time, they're used to it, they come and tamper onto your attachment, your auric field. Just come go till you're completely comfortable with this entity now. अब बोले ये क्या बिगाड़ेगा, हम shielded हैं. And at that point of time it will show you an illusion. नहीं यार, ये एक डर जैसा create करेगा, like mimicking the behaviors जैसे हम न्यूरो लिंग्विस्टिक प्रोग्रामिंग में करते हैं. when we mirror certain people and we get to know the pathos of that person, what this person is feeling. Is he feeling anxiety or is he feeling nervousness, is he feeling calmness, is he defensive, वो सब अपने को पता चलता है. तो ये वो मिमिक करके फिर आफ्टर he will start raising the temperatures within. So I will start seeing things that are not there.
So it's also messing up that's what I'm getting and feeling, that they are also messing up with all our bodies. We don't just have the physical body, right? Yeah. We have the settled bodies, we have the emotional body, we have the mental body, we have the spiritual body. So it's finding कि ये इंसान की कौन सी body is the weakest and is probably going to tap into that and do the needful.
Yeah. Possible है. Because see that just shows ना कि how intelligent these entities are, कि हम लोग तो गैजेट में लिमिटेड रह के, even for the matter
how intelligent these entities are, and at the same time how important spirituality is to keep us. Otherwise
yes.
कहीं भी tap करेंगे ये लोग and it will just find that weak link and finished.
Very true, no? So with I think today only someone asked ke Sarbajit, I saw your videos where you at the end of the video you are saying ke do not follow us back home, but what if the spirit still follows you? मैंने कहा अरे तभी तो हम मेडिटेशन करते हैं. Why do you think even after saying so much, doing so much, showing so much authority, we are still promoting meditation so much? And ऐसा भी नहीं कि there is some application that is sponsoring us. Subtle hint.
इसका ना there is a term, it is like in the healings and in the spiritual this thing, it is known as soul, I'm forgetting the term, where you can actually give an instruction to the soul to perform or to do a certain thing, which you can also do it in your body. क्योंकि ना हर सोल की अपनी एनर्जी होती है, अपनी एक लेवल होती है. सो हमारी जो our entire body has individual souls. Our heart has its own soul and consciousness. Our liver has its own. Everything has its own. So you can actually give it suggestions for healing. And you can actually, it's like your soul is higher than the soul of your heart. So you can actually instruct it that you have all the power to heal yourself and begin healing yourself. So that way, the instructions,
And I mean, when it comes to these people asking us that हमारे बोलने से क्या होता है, हम बोलते हैं सिर्फ वो माइक पे पकड़ने के लिए.
कुछ तो कंक्लूजन देना पड़ेगा ना इन्वेस्टिगेशन.
वरना we are adequately shielded, and हम जब इनको instructions देते हैं, when we communicate with, I mean, entities that don't have ears, तो हमारा बोलने से कुछ नहीं होता है. It is more about how more commanding we are and how we can actually communicate with them.
Even energy wise.
जैसे कि ये plant है यहाँ पर. If we want, we can speak with this plant. राइट बट हमारा ये बात करना कि चलो उग आम दे दे, ऐसा नहीं होता है ना. देयर इज अनदर वे ऑफ स्पीकिंग टू प्लांट्स, राइट. वाटर करना पड़ेगा, उनको सहलाना पड़ेगा, म्यूजिक सुनना पड़ता है, व्हाटएवर.
इट मैटर्स अ लॉट ऑन कि ऐसा भी नहीं, मतलब ऐसा भी नहीं होना चाहिए कि फॉर द पीपल हु डू नॉट केयर व्हाट वी आर सेइंग एंड स्टिल वांट टू गो एंड एक्सप्लोर हॉन्टेड लोकेशंस, कि आप जब खत्म करके आ रहे हो आपने भी हमको ही कॉपी करके बोल दिया कि भाई साहब कोई फॉलो नहीं करना. व्हाट यू आर फीलिंग इनसाइड, इवन दैट मैटर्स.
Yeah.
अगर
अंदर
डर
फट
से
रही
बोल रहा
है
है
भाई कोई
exactly,
फॉलो नहीं करना, मैं जा रहा हूँ.
वो तो पक्का फॉलो होगा.
और ऐसे हवा में भी छोड़ दिए ना कि डोंट फॉलो. ऐसे थोड़ी होता है. You have to know how to telepathically speak.
Cut that energy, cut that cord so that it doesn't follow you back.
Also, this seismic activity and the fault line thing also brings answers the question of why these mountains are so haunted as compared to beach areas. Beach areas are haunted for sure, but I have a feel these mountainous areas is why so much areas of Europe and so much areas of the US and other places are so haunted. Even for that matter, India के भी जो hilly areas हैं are haunted for sure, is because of the activity that caused that mountain or the hill to be formed. Because no matter what the current thing is, the plates are still alive. No,
Yeah, they are.
they're still alive.
The Himalayas are still rising up millimeters every year.
So some inches ऐसा पढ़ा था मैंने
Some
भी.
half centimeter something every year.
Yeah. So that means the plates are still active, and if something from the core of the earth, we all know कि उसका earth के core में EMF का concentration is the highest. जितना core में जाएंगे उतना EMF strong होते जाएगा. If something from the underground is coming out to the physical world carrying that same frequency, vibrations and energy and intensity, it can of course trigger a lot of things around that can also influence spirits as well as human beings, is why you'd see so many brutal killings in the mountains.
And talking about illusions, exactly connecting that to what you rightly said right now, is we see even expert swimmers getting drowned in lakes. Because when they go there, they feel I know swimming, I can go down and I can come. But even open water swimmers also get entangled somewhere or the other in the lake and they get drowned.
So many of these picnic spots, I remember हम लोग जब बचपन में जाते थे, पापा used to be very stern कि गलती से भी पैर भी नहीं रखना. And of course curiosity तो है ही अभी जो भी अंदर. So I used to go and check out कि what is there, and this I'm saying I must be 7-8 years old, and I'm checking कि क्यों warning मिल रहा है, because of course they were not talking about कि death हुआ है something like that. ज़्यादा करो तो चला यार पता है तेरे को वहाँ पे इंसान मर गया करके, वरना उसके पहले नहीं बताते हैं. So I want to figure out कि क्यों ऐसा हो रहा था. And if you see also ना, these lakes around the mountains, they are some of the insanely made as in by nature. क्योंकि ना जैसे normally अभी कैसा होता है, even for a beach for that matter, some beaches के the depth starts increasing gradually, थोड़ा हो गया आता है. But the ones especially closer to the mountain, it is the steepest it is even on the very first step. एंड वो पानी के टेम्परेचर से समझ में आ जाता है. वार्म होता है, देन लाइक 1 इंच 2 इंच ज़्यादा आप ऐसा पैर डुबाओ, ठंडा होगा. जहाँ पे ठंडा चालू हुआ मतलब वहाँ पे डेप्थ चालू हो गया है डायरेक्टली. एंड ऑल द माउंटेन लेक्स अराउंड द माउंटेन्स आर लाइक दैट ओनली. यू टेक वन स्टेप लाइक अरे यार क्या मस्त पानी है, यू टेक सेकंड यू गो डीप इनसाइड फटाक एंड दे आर नॉट प्रिपेयर्ड फॉर इट.
You slip inside. The best of people actually slip inside, and I was very surprised. Even now, also recently, there was a case wherein 3-4 people actually got drowned in a lake, and they just slipped. I mean, and for us, it is like, how can you just slip? I mean, didn't you see that? What was it that you just slipped inside and you don't know how to swim and you went over there?
As a illusions, no, like
that's illusion.
That the way in Cecil Hotel, even for that matter, I have watched this series called The Night Stalker. It's a series so well made on Richard Ramirez. This guy used to worship Satan and do all kind of occult practices, negative occult practices and human sacrifices and all. And he was a very firm believer that he was aided by Satan जब भी वो murder करने जाता था. And he has stayed in the Cecil Hotel, and so have so many other murderers and serial killers and criminals who have stayed. Can you imagine the vibration of the hotel?
Of course, बहुत dense है, देख के ही पता चल रहा था.
Plus adding उसके ऊपर the natural factors that are causing all those things, the fault line and the other things.
I would like to mention it over here right now that even Sarbajit has received a death threat from one of Satan's.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And I remember the first conversation I had with him. कुछ तो उसका लिखा हुआ था कि if you do not follow, नहीं I'm leaving you because you have some important work to do. Otherwise I would have what are the synonyms of जला देना English में?
Annihilate?
I have annihilated you way back. It's because you have some important work, and my only reaction was, "Jana dimag mat kar."
Jana. Iska seriously the
That
only
is my
thing is
reaction.
like Jana.
That's my reaction. I'm like, "Jana."
You saw my reaction, right? I mean, when he DM'd me, I was like laughing all my way. I was like, okay, fine. I mean, good. I mean, yeah, stay blessed.
And my reaction was "Jana dimag mat kar," and I have the screenshot of it also. It's "Jana dimag mat kar." I think it was late night or something. I'm like, "Man, I'm going to sleep right now. I have no time for this shit." But yeah, these things, not the message of course, but the things that were happening in Cecil Hotel, where I think also the reason of so many deaths that have happened, of course, illusion to illusion hai, but the dark history, I'm sure it would be so many negative entities as well, human, inhuman.
Yeah, see, I'll come to
which
this. See,
might
what
have-
happens in एक तो है San Andreas fault line जो है वहाँ पर seismic activity. Fine. The second one, as I said, it might have been a burial ground or something like that before. We don't know exactly how the land was acquired, what kind of money went into that, what curses were there, like a Winchester house was. We don't know what money and all had gone into that. कितने जन का curses है. Thirdly, you remember 5 years after it being built, there was a Great Depression. So for miles around, there were homeless people just staying around. So can you imagine to just get into this hotel, you're looking at all these depressed people, hungry, poor people begging outside over there, indulging in flesh trade, probably indulging in prostitution, indulging in so many different type of, I mean, whatever would satisfy them at that point of time, right? It was like one for all for one. Looking through all these things, and after getting into a hotel will just heighten your depression. And after getting into a place, as you said, like, you know, which causes this illusions or this optical illusions, you feel that even your life is worthless and there is nowhere to go. So those things were trapped inside those walls, the things were trapped inside the rooms, and that is how those few businessmen actually shot themselves, jumped around, and after used a blade to kill themselves, right? ODs bhi hua hai wo time pe. I think there were 13 suicides in all. In all, and these created that the foundation for the later deaths. Like Ramirez, for that matter, he also saw जो जाता था बाहर, he would kill only prostitutes. तो girls को लेके आके उसको मारता था. In his blood-soaked clothes, he would come over there, he would strip himself, and only उसका blooded underwear में वो ऊपर चला जाता था होटल में.
Yeah, I used to dump the entire clothes to that hotel का ही dustbin.
वहीं के डस्टबिन में नीचे फेंक के फिर ऊपर जाता था.
So these kind of crimes, they heightened the depression or the negative vibe of that place. Right. And there was nobody actually, I don't know why there was nobody, but there should have been people who went out over there, partied around, and increased or probably made the vibe positive. That never happened there. Because it just
LA.
Exactly.
So you have not stayed in LA, you have stayed where?
No, I've stayed in San Francisco. I have been to LA. लेकिन मैं ये होटल के आसपास नहीं गई.
No, I'm just trying to understand why. I think fault line is one of the reasons, of course. So many of these weird things, why do they happen in USA? That's why I think we are having this meeting yesterday also. They were thinking that USA is the most haunted continent. I said, no, I think it's Europe. But in Europe, things are kind of suppressed, this kind of news, because they want to promote Switzerland and those naturistic things, and Scotland and palaces and castles. But in USA, because it's like the first world country and it's like the superpower, everything comes out very, very...
But it is captured land, no? So there will be a lot of depression.
Yeah. Also, a lot of Native Americans were killed for that thing.
The history,
by whom?
the geography.
By whom? By the Europeans only.
Yeah. Yeah. But then what would be your theory to Elisa Lam's case where she was found naked in the water tank? For that matter, the people also complained. You know how they got to know? The documentary में बताता है. These people,
gross. It was gross.
They drank and they're like, ये water ना कुछ अजीब ही taste कर रहा है. Was it tasting so different?
Just when I was about to take a sip.
And then they complained to the hotel, and that's when the staffer went to check and they found a body. The only thing जिसका मैं deduct नहीं कर पा रहा हूँ is how was the lid closed?
I thought so. The lid of the tank was closed. So that's the exact pointer जो मुझे murder की तरफ भी.
Because the tank is quite big एंड एक बार अब अंदर जाओ उसमें, अकॉर्डिंग टू द इन्वेस्टिगेटर्स द वाटर वाज इन फ्लो, अदरवाइज शी वुड हैव कम आउट अगर लेवल सही रहता होता, बिकॉज लेवल ऊपर नीचे हो रहा था तो शी ड्राउन्ड एंड दैट्स हाउ शी डाइड. बट आई एम सेइंग कि इफ दैट इज द केस दैट मीन्स कि वाटर उतना ऊपर नहीं था कि वो ऊपर रहे, मीनिंग शी वेंट डाउन. मतलब देयर इज नो वे आफ्टर शी ओपनड एंड वेंट इनसाइड the lid close itself, because and वो lid तो ऐसा हल्का सा नहीं होगा ना कि हवा से हो गया होगा. It's a water tank. It's supposed to be in steel, iron, whatever it is.
See, these water tanks are very deep,
Yeah.
huge. I mean, अपने building के water tanks हम लोग देखते हैं.
I've been
ऊपर
inside
जाके.
water tank.
Huh?
I've been inside water tank.
You've been inside, yeah. Even I've been inside, and it's deep. It's like more than 10-15 feet deep. It's that, and 700 rooms वाला hotel का water.
These are huge. These are huge. I've seen उसकी pictures मैंने देखी हैं, and there is no direct access to it. आपको चढ़ के कहीं और से कूद फांद के पहुंचना पड़ता है.
See, देखो तीन ये होते हैं. I mean inlets or outlets you call it to a tank. One is the inlet जहाँ से पानी भरता है. वो पंप से ऊपर चढ़ाएंगे पानी, वहाँ पर भरता है. एक रहेगा ओवरफ्लो, राइट, फ्रॉम पानी अगर ओवरफ्लो हुआ वहाँ से तो कहाँ से बाहर आया. एंड द थर्ड वन इज द आउटलेट जहाँ से सप्लाई हो जाता है पानी का, राइट. आई प्रिज्यूम बिकॉज शी वॉज पैरानॉइड, बिकॉज शी वॉज बाइपोलर, उसको ऐसा लगा रहेगा कि somebody is coming to kill me, as it is also seen in the lift footage. When she entered in, the lift door opened up very well, but it just refused to close after that. Not because she was every now and then going in and out. There was some periods of intervals of time wherein she was completely inside and waiting for a lift to close, and it didn't close on its own. So what was it that was probably dropped on the railing so that the sensor was sensing it and not closing it, and she got more paranoid over it. Then she went to the water tank to protect herself from whoever is coming behind her.
मैं एक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग चीज़ बताऊं. बॉडी एनालिसिस एंड बॉडी लैंग्वेज एक्सपर्ट्स ने उसकी बॉडी लैंग्वेज स्टडी करी थी वाइल शी वॉज इन द लिफ्ट, एंड उनके हिसाब से शी वॉज नॉट इन फियर. She was not in fear because उसका जो like you know the movement of her hand where she was putting it putting her hair behind,
her hair.
हाँ, and the positioning of her legs and all, they were saying that she did not look in fear. In fact, it was some kind of a mischievous the language of the body.
She was playing with something.
हाँ. Second, there was a point where she is ऐसे करके पीछे होके खड़ी है towards the lift, वो जहाँ पर वो buttons हैं. Over there she is smiling. जैसे कि खेलता है ना कि मैं छुपी हूँ, यू नो, एंड वो जो स्माइल है वो पिक्सलेट करके निकाल दिया गया है, सो दैट इट स्टेज कि वो डरी हुई है एंड शी इज पैनिक्ड एंड ऑल, वो निकाल दिया गया है. एंड सेकेंड पॉइंट इज, ये तो बॉडी लैंग्वेज एक्सपर्ट्स ने बताया था, एंड और एक चीज़ की पूरी फुटेज गायब है ऑफ द कॉरिडोर जहाँ पर ये थी, बिकॉज दे ट्राई टू फाइंड आउट कि वो किससे बात कर रही है, किससे देख रही है. देयर इज नो CCTV फुटेज, एंड ये भी टेम्पर हुई हुई है द लिफ्ट वाली फुटेज.
See, I study body language as well. तो मैंने जब फुटेज देखी ना, I think there is some points that these body language experts जो बोल रहे हैं ना are missing, because she comes in from the left,
right?
Okay, and when she's speaking towards the right as well as the left at different times. So अगर उसको किसी का mischief करना था, like if suppose a boyfriend or whoever is that for the matter, partner is coming from the right or whoever जहाँ पर है, and she is trying to create that mischief, which is again corroborated by the fact that she pressed several buttons, ताकि she just delaying the lift का closing. She might have pressed something and she's waiting for him. But अगर वो होता तो why would she go on the left again? She's looking both left and right. That means she is actually not sure of from where the attack or whoever is going to come.
It could be a combination of things, na Savio here. Probably she was in the manic stage, because जो bipolar का जो उनका manic stage होता है, probably she was experiencing that, and at the same time there was someone.
Because even the just adding on to what you said, now मैंने ये पढ़ा नहीं था the body language part very honestly, but if we see there's also जैसे कि अभी बचपन में जब आप छुपा छुपी खेल रहे हो, you don't know ना कहाँ से वो आके आपको धप्पा लगाने वाला है, so still you are going to see both the sides only.
So there is not one person. So for this one, there might be multiple. Yes. She's citing a threat.
But then my point in this bipolar thing is कि उसमें report में mentioned था कि the reason all these things got elevated so much is because she was kind of कमा दिया था उसने अपना bipolar medicine खाना.
हाँ, कम कर दिया था. हाँ.
There are no reports कि उसका bipolar कौन से स्टेज में था एज ऑफ दैट पीरियड?
एक्सट्रीम में ही था is what the family
नहीं.
says.
Family
Extreme
says,
में.
as we now know, everyone can be feed at something
हाँ,
and they can
वो,
say something. But my thing is, if she decreased, see, if a person has so much such a level of bipolarism, she decided to take a trip to USA all alone. उसके घर वाले छोड़ दिए उसको, क्या आजा घूम क्या?
नहीं वो तो वो टाइम पे and all those things whatever they are once they are 18 they are free to go anywhere.
No, but if they were so concerned कि उसका bipolar के वैसे is where it
She's
happened, where
at-
she landed
हाँ.
and where she how she died, how come no one raised a red flag when she went alone? At least जैसे उसकी sister उसके साथ connected थी, उसके she was constantly updating on Facebook and everything. None of the person raised a single red flag कि अरे वो अकेली है, she has bipolar, she could hurt someone else or herself. क्योंकि in the interview also in the lobby she has created a lot of scene shouting at people and सब कुछ emotional outburst वगैरह सब कुछ हुआ है.
And
ये 18 हो गई ना तो वो बाइपोलर होने तो कुछ भी होने दो बट इफ शी मेक्स अ मैच्योर डिसीजन टू गो समवेयर नोबडी कैन स्टॉप हर.
नहीं understood and I agree totally and I know also for that matter, but what I'm trying to say is एक तो if we see her origin and all, she उसका native USA नहीं है. She is not a native of USA. Of course,
Canadian.
Yeah.
एंड इवन कनेडियन आई थिंक शी इज एन इमिग्रेंट.
तो अभी जो भी जैसा भी है ऐसा करके they have a particular, and I'm not saying कि they are any different Canadians or Americans for that matter. Maybe I'm just thinking, let's say कि अभी कुछ Indians लोग भी जाके settle होते हैं, some of your clients who are based out there, they are still following their regular Indian methods of eating, treating people and all. किसी को देख के smile कर देने का है, जो कुछ भी कर देने का वो follow करते हैं, and I think they will continue for the rest of their life and they will pass on to the next generation as well. Talking about Elisa Lam, what if, let's say, this is of course because it's all inconclusive in my point of view, what if her family also was kind of concerned because जब डेथ हुई, जब पुलिस ने उनको इंटरव्यू किया, एवरीवन चढ़ोफाइड का अरे नहीं वो तो मेडिसिन बंद कर रही थी, घर पे भी हुआ था, सब कुछ हुआ था, मतलब द बाइपोलर थिंग स्टार्टेड फ्रॉम होम ओनली. वो तो फॉर श्योर है क्योंकि घर पे भी उसने मेडिसिन लेना बंद कर दिया था. एंड देन सडनली व्हेन शी वाज इन द कॉलेज और समथिंग, ऑफ कोर्स चीज़ें कंट्रोल हो गई होगी इसलिए वो कॉलेज में भी घुस गई एंड सडनली शी डिसाइडेड के मैं जा रही हूँ घूमने के लिए. My point is USA being USA, where every now and then someone calls a 911 to report, even if they just find someone standing उनके घर के सामने. This girl was never reported. Even for that matter, the hotel, of course the hotel had a reputation to ignore all kind of criminal activities considering they knew what was happening. They never reported her कि ऐसा कुछ वो कांड कर रही है करके. So what I'm trying to say is, what if उसका bipolarity जो रीज था शायद वो कम हो रहा था, is why she stopped taking the medicines probably. She was feeling good कि नहीं मे बी मैं अभी ठीक हो रही हूँ इसलिए मैं कम मेडिसिन खाऊंगी जो कुछ भी, बिकॉज इवन व्हेन शी वाज ऑन हर ट्रिप शी वाज स्टिल टेकिंग मेडिसिन. उसके ब्लड में वो मिला कि वो मेडिसिन ले रही थी. शी वाज नॉट टेकिंग टू दैट प्रिस्क्राइब्ड वन. And we all know कि all these bipolar and these things which a lot of doctors directly conclude to be mental illness could be a psyche or could be a person who is overwhelmed by the spirit world or through her enhanced
वो
senses
तो है
or
ही.
something.
वो तो है. Yes, agreed.
100%
है ना
100%. वो पार्ट तो
we do
देखा ही
not
नहीं
know
होगा इन
that
लोगों
part.
ने.
वो चीज कोई बात भी नहीं करता है.
Who is vulnerable to paranormal attacks? People who have a problem along with their own psyche first of all, right? If you are strong spiritually, there's nothing that can shake you. That is something that is already, established. So यहाँ पर क्या हुआ था? She is already having a lot of paranoia and probably episodes where she is not taking her medicines and whatnot and everything. And I think so this was proved later on जब interrogation होता है कि अगर वो मेडिसिन ले रही है तो फिर ये इतना स्ट्रिप्स कैसा बचा हुआ था, राइट? इट माइट बी दैट शी हैज जस्ट इग्नोर्ड 1 or 2 डोजेज. इट माइट बी जस्ट लाइक दैट एंड शी इज ट्राइंग टू रिड्यूस इट, टेपर इट डाउन सो दैट शी इज फाइनली एबल टू लिव फ्री विदाउट मेडिकेशंस. इट माइट बी लाइक दैट बट वी डोंट नो एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम कि उसका साइकिक क्या था. लाइक जैसे पूजा ने बोला कि देयर वाज द बॉडी लैंग्वेज एक्सपर्ट्स हु सेड दैट शी इज जस्ट मिस्चीवस एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम. इट माइट बी दैट इट्स अ मिक्सचर ऑफ शी बीइंग मिस्चीवस एज वेल एज पैरानॉइड एट द सेम टाइम, right? It might be a combination of a threat also that her partner might have given her and she doesn't know now where to go, what to do, uska paisa kahan par hai. She found no other way but to go up and hide in the वाटर टैंक. और एक बार वो वाटर टैंक में चली गई, शायद से उसने पानी कम फ्लो कम करने के लिए सो दैट शी डजंट ड्राउन, उसने अपने कपड़े निकाले और उसने अपना इनलेट पाइप में अगर डाल दिया ताकि पानी का लेवल ना बढ़े. द प्रॉब्लम वॉज proved to be a double-edged sword wherein पानी अंदर तो नहीं आ रहा है लेकिन नीचे का पानी खाली हो रहा है. So she kept going down.
I think according to the people, as in the report जो निकला था, the reason she removed her clothes was so that she could float up.
That were causing problem. But वो ऐसा कपड़े नहीं पहन रही थी कि जहाँ पर उसको कोई तकलीफ होनी चाहिए थी.
मुझे ना थ्रेट से, when you said threat, एक चीज़ मुझे याद आई that she used to write blogs. वो blogs लिखती थी, and in those blogs she had mentioned that one day I'm going to land in trouble because she was very vocal. शी वॉज वेरी वोकल, बहुत ज़्यादा वो चीज़ें बोलती थी, ओपनली बोलती थी. और उसने लिखा था, थोड़े टाइम पहले ही लिखा था, दैट आई एम गोइंग टू लैंड इन ट्रबल समडे बिकॉज ऑफ you know the way I'm just the way I speak and the way I
that's
write
what I'm
and
thinking.
everything.
So many of these people that we know personally who have enhanced psychic abilities, लेकिन उनको घर वाले उनको मेडिकेशन में डाले हुए हैं, मेंटल इंस्टीट्यूट्स में डाले हुए हैं.
The other day, and I wouldn't like to, give names or whatever like that. There was a diagnosed schizophrenic who called me, and he had changed 21 doctors.
Wow.
And when I read his face, when I read his body, I said, "You're not schizophrenic at all. You're a clairvoyant. So whatever you're seeing is real."
Savio, same cheese. I think how many years back? 3 years back, there was this girl who came to me. She was sent to mental asylum. Can you believe that? By her family. She was on continuous medication. She was on sedatives.
Steroids.
She was on steroids and she has stayed in a mental asylum because she sees things. I was like, dude, तो clairvoyant है. She's like, मुझे कोई समझ ही नहीं पा रहा है, मेरी फैमिली मुझे समझ नहीं पा रही है, and they are constantly sending me. तो she was like, ma'am, please कुछ करो. I don't want to go to the mental asylum again. And I was feeling pathetic about.
We need people who are breaking the matrix, और ये लोग matrix में ही लोगों को फंसाए जा रहे हैं कि तुम यही पढ़ाई करो, यही सोचो, यही काम करो, 9 to 5 जॉब करो, किसी और को रिच बनाओ और खुद ही रिटायरमेंट के बाद पेंशन खाओ और वो तब तुम जाके घूम सकते हो. People are not living their lives, people are living somebody else's dreams.
मेरे दिमाग में कॉन्स्टेंटली घूम रहा है, तो इसलिए मैं अभी निकाल रहा हूँ इसको कि इफ़ वी आर एक्चुअली कंसिडरिंग व्हाट आई सेड कि शी might be or was a psychic who was seeing things, then we are kind of declaring that her death was a cause of some kind of paranormal reason. That's one of the angles. Why? Because I don't know. Like I said, I think in one of the podcast also we were talking about Ghost Adventures people and their reputation, whatever it is, because when Ghost Adventures team was investigating that property, they found a link between what Richard Ramirez did in the hotel to the disappearance of Elisa Lam. They connected and they concluded that there is some paranormal angle that forced Elisa Lam to take her own life. But what they are not saying, and I don't find answer anywhere, how the fuck the lid closed?
Exactly. मैं वही घूम फिर के आ रही हूँ.
Let's say there is another human being, it was a murder, let's say for that matter. So many red flags again. Why was she murdered? Let's say it was some another serial killer who had an atrocity to kill immigrants for that matter, क्योंकि लोग गुस्से होते रहते हैं towards immigrant, whatever it was. It was 2013. It was not the Great Depression or that period जहाँ पे killers were left in loose.
It could even be someone from the hotel because ये मुझे क्यों आया था mind में, it could be someone from the hotel because वो fire exit जो होता है वहाँ से ऊपर गई थी. She did not go from the main exit. उसको कैसे पता था?
मैं अगर खुद भी अगर कोई वाटर टैंक के अंदर जाने की कोशिश करूँगा, I mean if I'm paranoid like that, if somebody is following me, I'll close the lid myself.
नहीं तो that's what you know. So
सावी वो देखना, you see that
but नहीं
जो है ना, it's massive.
नहीं, that is also there, the massive part is also there, but what you are saying I can visualize कि you know आप पकड़ के ही directly जाओगे अंदर, but उसके लिए you will need enough force on your right hand or your left hand ताकि आप दोनों को पकड़ के then you're losing out completely going inside.
नहीं, once you see those water tanks, possible नहीं लग रहा है.
नहीं understood. नहीं, what we are saying is before you go into the water tank you are holding the, क्योंकि अंदर भी तो होता है ना पकड़ने को, आप उसको पकड़ रहे हो and some reason you're balancing yourself, जो कि बैलेंस कर सकते हैं हम लोग, दोनों हाथ से कर सकते हैं बैलेंस, ऐसे लटक सकते हैं, आप बैलेंस करके then you are going in. But for that, considering Elisa Lam's hyper aggressive act that she was doing, and if she was trying to hide from something, I have a feel उसके पास उतना टाइम नहीं होगा, and उसका बॉडी स्ट्रक्चर भी देखो तो I don't know if she had.
It can be that the lid was closed or partially closed, and she just slid inside, and then afterwards just.
But according to the photos of, you have seen the photo of the tank?
No, I've not seen the photo
Yeah,
of the
so
tank.
according
I
to
saw
the
the
tank,
lobbies.
it's like it's a huge tank for that matter, and the lid is also must be like you'll have to use as a दो हाथ to pull it
और
out.
वो दुबली
मतलब
पतली,
खोलने
she
को.
was like
Yeah, she wasn't. Yeah, but once possessed.
हाँ, possession का case
But then
different है.
possession is one angle, of course, or spirit involvement is one angle, of course. But if we are considering your angle of the involvement of a hotel staff, in that case, the hotel staff could be again under some influence, of course, if there's a possibility. If not, then the hotel staff is quite good to remove all the evidences of his footsteps, fingerprints, and all kind of things. And of course, the why this plays out really good is because Elisa was found in water, and she was in there for quite some days, which means all the fingerprints from her body, दूसरे इंसान के, were already kind of gone. You know, and also another assumption what the coroner's office do is her body was found floating. Generally, अगर आप खुद कूद रहे हो and अब उससे
हाँ,
death
तो
हुआ
you
है,
are face down.
you should have face down.
She was face up.
But she was facing up. So again, what assumptions they made कि क्योंकि the water inside was playing all along, so उसके force से वो पलट गई. Again, what if नहीं हुआ था वो? How can you conclude just based on your assumptions right now?
क्योंकि होटल स्टाफ को वो फायर एग्जिट वाला पता है रास्ता, बिकॉज फ्रॉम व्हाट आई नो बाकी सारे जो एंट्रेंसेज एंड एग्जिट्स थे हैड अलार्म, द वंस विच आर लीडिंग टू द टेरेस हैड एन अलार्म कि कोई भी अगर वो दरवाजा खोलेगा अलार्म बजेगा, बिकॉज नो वन वॉज अलाउड ऑन द टेरेस एंड सिर्फ देयर वर 3 एग्जिट्स और समथिंग. फायर एग्जिट्स वर द ओनली प्लेसेस जहाँ से आप वो टेरेस पे पहुंच सकते थे. एलिसा लैम को कैसे पता कि ये फायर एग्जिट से मैं टेरेस पे जा
Unless she
सकती
has
हूँ?
completely raked the entire hotel.
Or just as a matter of coincidence.
It's always there. Crazy.
But whatever it is, as in, I mean, even if it is a matter of coincidence, we know that nothing is a coincidence in the universe. So things, as you said, illusion or guided by the forces that could be.
But what would you conclude? What would be your conclusion? Is it a case of paranormal, or is it a case? 3 options actually. If it is paranormal or not. No, not as in, is it paranormal, or is it a case of bipolar issues triggering her so much that she took her own life? Or do you think it is a case of murder? Or do you think all 3 of the above played their own parts in putting her where she was found?
Combination.
I don't think it will be a direct murder. It could be knowing the hotel's reputation and all the hotel's reputation to cover up their own people tracks, so that but then
वो एज इट इज बेचारा बुरे हाल में था.
और यहाँ के भी बॉम्बे भी होटल्स एंड इंडियन होटल्स एंड होटल्स ऑल ओवर द वर्ल्ड, दे आर वेरी अडेप्ट ऑफ कवरिंग देयर ओन स्टाफ एंड एवरीबडी जस्ट लाइक दैट. उन्हें रेपुटेशन खराब होने देते ही नहीं हैं, कोई भी होने दो. इवन एयरलाइंस for that matter, they cover their own track somehow or the other. So वो हो सकता है, but I don't think this is a murder because this hotel is infamous for that. So ऐसा होगा कि हाँ ठीक है यार, और एक हो गया, उसमें क्या है, ये नहीं हुआ. And they could have very well said that okay fine, ठीक है, ये
और एक हो गया,
कुछ तो हो गया, हाँ और एक हो गया. एंड यू कैच आवर स्टाफ और व्हाटएवर जो भी कुछ कर रहा है एंड ऑल दिस थिंग, गलती हो गई. जैसे उबर ड्राइवर
एक को सस्पेंड कर दिया, बात बंद हो गया, व्हाटएवर इट इज.
हाँ बस दैट्स इट, और किसको पैसे देने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, बस खलास यहाँ पर ही केस ख़त्म. बट आई थिंक इट्स अ कॉम्बिनेशन, इट्स एन इनडायरेक्ट मर्डर बिकॉज फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑफ अ बाइपोलर नेचर, उसका किसी ने तो एडवांटेज उठाया है दैट अगर मैं कुछ कर भी दूँ तो लोग बोलेंगे हाँ ठीक है ये बाइपोलर की वजह से मर गया. Right, knowing the as we are talking about the entire reputation of the hotel, कहाँ पर बंधा हुआ है, under what circumstances it has been through, the Great Depression, so many people coming and committing suicide over their murders and whatnot and everything, the energy of that place, the paranormal angle of it is very much alive. We all know that we are energy as well as matter. So अपने matter को हम लोग देख रहे हैं, but then afterwards the energy को टटोलना जरा मुश्किल होता है. तो probably it was the energy that latched on to hers, took advantage of a bipolar nature, तो attachment बहुत आसान हो गया, and not only possessed her or attached to her but also attached to the people who were there around her. और वो सब words बोले गए, वो सब trigger words बोले गए जहाँ पर she actually got into that paranoia. शायद से कोई in a mischievous element also hid her purse in which, or bag in which her medication would have been there. राइट, वुड हैव टोल्ड कुछ नहीं होता है, कुछ नहीं होता है, जैसे यहाँ पर बोलते हैं कुछ नहीं होता है, काम कर थोड़ा कोकेन मार ले, सब ठीक हो जाएगा. इट कुड बी एनीथिंग बिकॉज आफ्टर सो मेनी डेज अगर उसका बॉडी बाहर निकल रहा है डिकम्पोज्ड एंड सो मेनी एलिमेंट्स ऑफ अ बॉडी ऑलरेडी ड्रेन डाउन पीपल्स थ्रोट्स अनफॉर्चुनेटली. आई थिंक इट्स अ कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ ऑल.
All, no? Yeah.
मुझे भी कॉम्बिनेशन ही लगा.
No, same for you also. Same for you. That's all I think for Cecil Hotel.
May her soul rest in peace.
Actually.
Yeah, man, actually.
And all the other souls actually who
passed
have
there.
died there. Crazy. Even I just feel bad for that man जो कि बेचारा चल के जा रहा था नीचे, and this lady who was trying to take her own life also took him साथ में.
When you said it, my eyes were completely popped up, you know, like
Yeah.
यहाँ भी सेम चीज इधर भी हुआ ना.
Cow
This-
वाला,
this
cow
Vande
वाला, you know?
Mataram Express hit a cow. An electrician was taking a pee on the tracks. This cow fell on him,
दोनों
killing
गए.
both.
मतलब what a way यार.
And death कैसे आता है लोगों को. But that's it everyone for the Cecil Hotel and the case of Elisa Lam. I hope you guys enjoyed it and आपको कुछ सीखने को भी मिला, देखने को भी मिला. The angles which were not talked about. Few of the angles तो बहुत बार आपने अगर if you are a crime follower as in follower of criminal documentaries and all, तो आपको angle पता ही होगा. But then few other angles also we talked about which could have influenced, which I'm sure बाकी जगह पे नहीं था. And this is the episode of Elisa Lam and this is Ghost Encounters Unfiltered podcast. And before we end, please do help us reach 50,000 subscribers by the end of May. I'm sure हो जाएगा because today as we are recording, we crossed 40,000 subscribers. It's like finally we are only 10,000 away from reaching 50k, from a journey of having 4,000-5,000 subscribers to directly aiming for 50,000 subscribers. It has been a journey, very honestly, and for that reason only हम लोग इतना सारा content डाल रहे हैं, videos डाल रहे हैं, and we are planning more things to bring to you people. And do let us know, you know, what you think of this case, because हमने last podcast का भी हमने देखा and some of your comments are really good in terms of your dissection and your angles जो कि हमने miss out किया, या फिर an angle that could be considered in that particular case. Do comment down your views for this case as well. And if you have watched to this end, please do like, please do subscribe, and please do comment.